Oh,
Awesome.
hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML. Actually, today we have a special book for us to talk about, and it's probably outside of our spectrum of interest. So let's talk about love today. What can we learn about love?
Let's talk about love. So this book, I think you've heard of this book before, right?
No, I've not.
Are you kidding? Like, I feel like everybody's heard of this stupid book. It's called
Really?
yeah, it's like one of those stupid books that like everybody knows. Like it's just a stupid book. It's called The Five Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts by the author Gary Chapman. This dude was like a I feel like he was a couples counselor and like a priest or a pastor, I can't remember. And he
Maybe interrupt you.
yeah,
Why is a priest
a pastor. He's a pastor.
a pastor? Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
My question was, why would a priest be an expert in love between a couple?
That's a great question. Actually, because you do have to go to
It's
like
like marriage counseling by the guy who never have a wife. I mean, maybe pastors, maybe I don't know, but
right.
for most like Catholics or whatever, it's like marriage counseling is by this
It's not
guy.
marriage. It's not marriage counseling in Catholicism. I would say it's spiritual counseling to make sure that you are connected with each other spiritually. But I think that's the reason why. Like, I don't think
Oh,
I don't
why
like
most of the marriages didn't go as planned just because the guy who's talking about how to be a good couple to each other never had a counterpart.
yeah. I
I
mean, I
mean,
don't I don't disagree. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's
I
like
mean, it
that's like
just
a that's like
blows
a, that's
my
like a
mind.
beaver. That's like a beaver trying to teach
Teach a
a
cheetah how
bee
to
how
run
to make honey.
fast.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, we dropped our first beaver quote
Ding.
um uh
But I'm not
anyway,
sure we can top it yesterday.
no, not at all. That was a beaver fest. All right, so but moving on to the reflection. So this book is it's called The Five Love Languages: The Secret to Love That Lasts. So this
Mhm.
guy is a pastor, and he did like couples counseling or something like that, and he began to like see trends or something along those lines, and then he created these five love languages based off of his counseling, trends, and the whole goal of the five love languages is to learn what you learn about, what your spouse's love language is, and then be able to speak, that love language to them to be able to talk in their language, I guess, if you will, and strengthen your relationship and build a loving marriage that lasts together. Now, first and foremost, um, I'll get to the reflection actually, because uh, the reflection title of this one is become multilingual. So this is a book that my wife and I did together. This is one of our audio books that we did together. So
Mhm.
we actually had a blast with this, and I started this off with I love my wife, and this is why I love my wife, because like we had a blast listening to this, not because we learned a lot, but because we both hated it so much. And this is like, we have such a good connection. I could just see her, like we paused this thing so many times throughout the course of like listening to it, to like both just like talk about, hey, this guy was creepy. Like the way that he writes is he's very he pretty much only writes about like, a man and a woman, white couple, it feels
Mhm.
like, you know what I mean, like every like they're like it's very it's not very broad in terms of the like, what if you're a I don't know, anyway. And then he also kind of like shitty, like he was just kind of a I don't know, there was certain things that he said that we were both kind of like, what did he just say? Like, that's really creepy,
Mhm.
but I digress. So onto the love languages. One of like I this book just reconfirmed why I love my wife so much, because even though we're completely opposites, like, we still both do, we have our own unique perspectives on life, but we do also have a lot of commonalities as well. You know this is like the perfect example of it. We both are love to debate. I know she doesn't really love to like get into conflicts, but she
Hmm.
certainly has very opinionated. She certainly has, you know, strong opinions and positions that she likes to take in life, as well as I do. We're both kind of stubborn, a lot of times as well. So like having somebody tell us, you know, what our love language was, like, and us just accept it, like that's a commonality that my wife and I do not have to share together, like, because if we just don't accept when somebody tells us. We talked about this a couple of episodes back, right? About like the Clifton strengths assessments
Right, right, right.
and the disc profiles, and you know, and the Hogwartsing of everything. Like this book was the ultimate Hogwartsing of love languages. I mean,
Hmm.
it was infuriating to listen to be honest with you, but it was fun because my wife and I, we had a blast, like getting angry, you know, and talking shit about this book to each other. So it was actually really fun. I could look over when I know this dude said something that was like, in my head, I'm like going, what did he just say? You know, and I would look over at Felicia and she's just over there going, you know, I mean, like I could, it was just funny. So anyway, moving on to more of the serious part of the reflections. Um, the reason why we both hated this so much was that whole Hogwartsing of it, and of like every single love language that this guy went through. We would stop and we would talk about it, and we would have like a good conversation about like, how do you relate to this? What do you feel like? You know, what does this mean to you? And almost unanimously across the board for both of us, every single one of the love languages, we were like, well, I'm a little bit of that, and I'm a little bit of that, and I like to do that, and I like a little bit of this. But we were like, we're not any, we're all of these, you know. Like, I mean, I'm like, I don't even understand, you know. Like, I could not comprehend, like, you know, because I was like, well, I am a little bit of that, and I do like that, and I'm a little bit of, you know, it was like a smorgasbord, you know, a buffet going across there. And she felt the exact same way. So like that was our only commonality we had, was like, you know, being able to become multilingual and being multidimensional in terms of who you are, not just going, well, this is exactly who I am and this is how you should communicate to me. And it's so much so I remember we were on a walk with Luca, and we were listening to this, and I remember like as he kept just trying to lump people into a certain category. um he said something. I just like paused it, like this thought came into my head. I was like I turned to my wife and I was like, what would be the first thing that you would do if you moved to a foreign country? Like, I mean, true, you moved to a foreign country. What was the first thing that you did when you moved to a foreign country?
First thing,
Yeah, what's the first thing that you would want to do if you moved to a foreign country? Because you did, but what was the first thing that you did?
not sure. It's up to me because I was just 10 years old.
But what did you do? No, I mean, what was the first thing that you thought of? Like, I'm now in America, you know, like,
You
what
have
do
to
I?
learn. You have to learn the language of the land.
Exactly. That's exactly what I turned. I was like, I looked at her and I was like, what would you do if you moved to another country tomorrow? I mean, I would be like, well, I would learn their language. Like, I mean, like, I don't even know that there's even a debate about that. I mean, like, if you're gonna, you know, this made me start to think about the platinum rule, right? Like, you know, it's treat others the way that they want to be treated, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we're all a little bit of everything,
I mean,
and
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how illogical the slangs are.
right,
If you want to speak Texans, you speak Texans to them because that's what they
right,
want to hear. You don't say, "Oh, that's wrong," and then you say, "Oh, I'm gonna correct you." So, no, you speak the way they speak, right?
right.
Regardless of what you think. That's the thing. Yeah, you have to learn. So
100%.
so
Like, I
whatever you do, it's like for me, it's like this is something that I mean, it's a pet peeve of mine as well. It's like you live in America, be like an American. Don't
right,
don't say, hey, no, I'm proud of my traditions and blah blah. Shit, you don't live in your country, and don't bring that shit here. If they
I
want
agree.
it and they ask for it, give it to them. But this is not that country, so don't bring it.
I
Don't
I
bring it
could I
unless you're invited.
I couldn't
Me,
agree more.
don't come to my house and say, well, in my house, this is what I do. Man, I'm going to spit whatever I want. I'm gonna walk my you know shit written shoes onto the marble white floors and whatever, right? You
Right.
take off the fucking shoes if you're in my house, right? Whatever it is, you go to Japan, right? You go to whatever, you leave your sandals outside because that's what they expect you to do. You don't go in there. Well, imagine what they could do to you if you do that. So to me, a pet peeve, you have to follow the tradition of the place you're
I
at because
agree.
you
I
are. not from there. You are a guest, right? So you have
100%.
to absorb their culture and their traditions, not the other way around. Don't force it. And so,
See,
to me,
this
that's
is
the only way to be human.
this is why this book infuriated us, because he was like, look, you got to know your love language, and you got to know your partner's love language, and then you got to go like and make sure that they express to you and talk to you in your love language, right? Like, and I'm like, no, that's the opposite. It's like you gotta listen and learn and understand what other people are, and then they need to do the same. Like that's the point. It's like it's the conversation needs to happen, and you need to listen to other people, and you need to be able to be heard and be understood, and then that's when you make a connection with somebody, not when somebody's like, look, like you said, like I mean, if you only spoke Vietnamese still, and you're like, hey, you need to speak to me in Vietnamese, and like you just said, like, and I would go, I don't speak Vietnamese. Like, I mean, I don't like I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I know you don't live in
I
Vietnam, like,
mean,
you know. So
if you were to come to Vietnam, then yeah, you may be expected to speak Vietnamese,
I
but
would
you're
think that's
not.
fair,
But you're
right?
not. Then there's no need for say, hey, oh, true, he's Vietnamese. I gotta speak to him in Vietnamese. That's just stupid.
I agree. And like it's you gotta recognize where you are, and then listen to other people, and and then be able to speak their language. Like, I mean,
I
not
mean, basically, this is what we call EQ, right?
right,
Well, I'm sensing that okay, we're comfortable doing this, we're comfortable doing that, we're not comfortable doing, the other, whatever. You're sensing people's um emotions, right? Okay,
right,
he's kind of accepting, or he isn't accepting, right? So you have to say, well, what is the vibe he's giving out? He's friendly, he's willing to try to learn your name, right? If people say, how do you say your name in Vietnamese, right? If they don't have no inclination to say it, call me whatever you want. Call me true, false,
right,
call me true blue, call me whatever you want,
right,
right? Close enough. Ding.
exactly,
Right? I don't expect them to get my name right because it's not their native tongue. It's illogical to expect them to do that, right? But people say, you have to say my name right, and this is how you say it, and blah 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 blah. But what the fuck? Who cares? Who give
so
a shit?
you're the perfect person to talk about this too, because you did come to a foreign country, and you did have to go adapt to yourself to literally become multilingual, because like you can't expect people to adapt to you. Like, this book, this is why this book infuriated me so much. Like you can't, like, this is why all the categorization sucks. Like, if I went around and said I'm a Gryffindor, and like, you need to talk to me like a Gryffindor, man. Like, and I'm gonna go, I don't fucking speak Gryffindor. Like, and you're in, not Hogwarts right now. Like, and I like you're like,
Harry,
you
who?
need to adapt, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, you're in,
Say what the
the
hell
Lord
is
of the Rings
Hogwarts?
right now. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's you need to adapt to wherever you are, and become, and like and learn from other people, and learn how to communicate with other people. Like, I mean, like, you cannot expect everybody to understand. Like, can you imagine people trying to understand like Clubany, and just like, if you walked into a conversation, and you're like, look, we have 3 years of immersing ourselves into this world, and to expect somebody after a 20-minute conversation to get it. Like, it would be like, that's just stupid. Like, if they want to go, we talked about this before, a couple reflections back, about, like, when you truly want to connect with somebody, like, meaningful, like, I forget what was that reflection about, because you were all about what comes first, um the gosh, it was what comes first, what was that one we were just talking about, a couple those, like, it was like 2 episodes ago.
I have no idea.
We were debating, like, what comes first, like, understand, gosh, I'd have to go pull up the reflection. Anyway, like, the point of the matter of what I was getting at is, like, at the end of the day, like, there's
Oh, you're talking about people or friends?
oh, yeah, that one, like, whether you have friends first, or what was the second?
Influence.
Influence, yeah, like, right, like, your influence, or friends first. Like, what comes first, or what comes second, right? Like, it's I just lost my train of thought when I was doing that, but the bottom line is people would never understand what we're the words that we're talking about a beaver. Like, you think people would understand the clubbity speak that we're talking? No, we got to go meet them where they are, and then slowly bring them along and influence them if they want to be influenced, right? And either agree to take that journey together, but then speak their language and then try to translate for them, what this new world means, and to help them to discover this. But at the same time, like they have to be willing to want to discover new things, otherwise we're never going to connect. Like, I mean,
Well,
like
but
it's
this
never going
is
to
the
happen.
reason. This is the reason why humans can be an elephant whisperer, but an elephant cannot be a human whisperer.
Very good
That's the
point. Yeah,
difference. And
it's a
so
very good point.
if you talking about trying to figure it out, okay, human, what do you speak? And then you have to go and say, well, I don't speak that, and trying to, you know, expect the other party to speak your language and the other party expect you to speak their language. You will never connect.
Never.
You will never ever connect, and that's the reason
Right.
why human can be a dog whisperer, a horse whisperer, an elephant whisperer, or whatever kind of whisperer you want.
Right.
You can do it because we have the ability to go to that land and learn their language, and then
Exactly.
communicate with them, and then start to introduce some of our concepts to them. But only when you bridge that connection before you can start to influence. Because you can't expect, hey, your wife is this and you're this, and you have to know who you are, and she have to know who she is, and blah blah blah. That's nonsense, right? And
It is. It's
just
so
imagine
stupid.
me, and I mean the thing is an example. Like I came here when I was 10 years old, right? It took me about probably like 6 months to under a year to learn the language. There are people who came here, Vietnamese, who came here, and non-Vietnamese people come here for 20 years and still can't speak the language. The
I'm sure they
and
haven't connected
and
with a lot of Americans either.
and they have, they just refuse to understand that, right?
Right.
It's the mindset. You bring the mindset is that, I don't need to speak English, right? I don't need to communicate with these people, you know like I said, Eric and I are working on this project because these people have no way to communicate with the American customers. I mean,
Right.
they service them, but they
Right.
can't talk to the American customer they service. And they've been here for 10, 20, 30, 50 years, and they still can't speak the language. And even if they can, right, they don't understand. And even if they can have some words that they have an accent, they don't talk the slang, right?
Right.
When they say I have a stomach ache, they say I have stomach ache, right? They
Right.
don't really care how it's pronounced. They say, well, this is how it's enunciated in my language. I put chake in instead of ache, right? And
Right.
I have a headache instead of a headache, right?
Right.
You
Right.
think about it. I
I
have
know.
headache.
I did not know that. Well,
It's
but
like
see,
what?
to your point, the reason why I don't know that is because I've never lived in Vietnam and I don't know how that works, right? I don't know how they speak, right? So that's on
I
me.
mean,
I
the
mean,
thing is, they refuse to. It's a mindset, right? Because if you get to the mindset of say, I need to learn how to speak, how to communicate with the people that lives in this land, I'm going to make the changes.
right.
If you do that,
Yes.
then it's easy for you to learn and absorb and embrace whatever changes that comes to you.
Right.
If you comes to this land and you say, well, I don't need to speak, they need to speak, learn what my traditions and blah blah blah, right? They never connect. Your American don't connect, you don't connect with them, and the American don't connect. I mean, you go to these a lot of these Oriental services where there's nails, hair, whatever it is, right?
Hmm.
Massage, whatever. They don't speak to you
Right.
because they can't, and they've been here for like 10, 15, 20 years.
I mean, just think about how much more successful they could be, and how many more meaningful customer relationships they could form if they could do that. I mean, because they're already successful enough, but like they're like self-limiting their own growth, potential by not learning like. I mean, I would be an idiot if I told my wife, hey, this is how I only want you to communicate with me, and like, and expect that I'm gonna still say married. Like, I mean, like, I cannot, I would not, I can't even fathom that. Like, being like, I don't. She gives no shits about like what I need necessarily, and she shouldn't. And I mean, but like that's not how it should work. Like it should.
It's not
It
all
should
the time, and especially for human beings, right? We have this ability to morph, right? And
right,
so we have good days, we have bad days, and we have up days and down days, right? And you can't say, well, today you only speak to me in this language, right? No, when I'm down, don't fucking go and
right,
and be aggressive, right? It's not gonna
right.
work, right?
You got to speak.
Yeah.
You got to speak something new every single day. You're right. You're right.
You know,
Every day is different.
that song about how to save a friend. What was it? But I don't know who was by How to Save a Friend, right?
How to
It
save a life? Is that
How
what?
to Save a Life, right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
The
what
fray.
song.
I think it's the fray. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about it's that thing, right? When they're down and whatever they say, go and come on through and go
Right.
on through, whatever it is, right? It depends on their emotional state, right? We have multiple different emotional
Right.
state,
Right.
so
And
you
we have
can't say
multiple love languages.
there's 5 different languages, and this is a language. I want very stern, I want very honest and like radical truth and blah blah blah. Shit, your wife said, this thing make me look fat, right? You don't say
Right.
yes. You just don't.
I can't even remember what the five love languages are. This is how much I did not like this book. What are they? Uh, the five love language types. Man, my internet is running so slow right now. What the hell?
Maybe look at the images. The first one.
I mean I can't. Like they're like everything I'm clicking on the here you pulled up really fast. What are the five love languages? I can't even remember what they said they are. Oh, here it is. Quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. So it's like if I
So I can be a
if physical
mime
touch
and
is
go
my
touch
love
my wife
language,
all the time, right?
right? Like yeah, even if that is your
It's
love
like,
language, like
yeah, it's like move out of the way.
yeah, like this is so this is what we were like laughing at. We're like, well, I like to spend quality time with you, and I also like words of affirmation, and I don't need
I like
gifts, but
all.
I don't
I
mind
like
gifts every once in
I
a
like
while.
all of them.
Right, right. Like I'm like, wait, an acts of service, like I mean, we do that every day. Like if I just said, hey, acts of service isn't my love language, and you're like, oh, okay, great. Well, then you can take care of all the chores, all the you can go do all the grocery shopping, take care of the kids, whatever, because like you don't need acts of service.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like the
Hey,
fuck? No, I mean,
just like, hey, don't touch me.
right, right, right.
That's my
Yeah.
language. Don't touch me. Well,
I mean,
go
I'm not
go go be a fucking monk.
right. I mean, this book just like I mean, I can't even tell you. I mean, this is once again, this is why I love my wife, because we're on the same page, right? Like, I mean, she knows that like, you have to be multidimensional, and I know that I need to be multidimensional for her. And whatever you got to read the room, whatever room you're in,
It's
like,
about
like
being adaptable,
right,
right? So like I say, you have to read and understand the land, the lay of the land, right? You
right,
understand the room, like you say, read the room. What are people, what kind of vibe are they giving out? I mean,
right,
is this a fun vibe? Is this a serious vibe? Is this a, professional vibe, or, you know, whatever, right? It
right,
doesn't matter, right? Be be one with the vibe, right?
right.
Adapt to that vibe, right? If your wife is,
Be
it,
water, my friend.
exactly, be
Right, yeah,
water,
yeah.
be water. Uh,
For sure. I mean, like you're spot on. I think I'm glad that you agree with this as well. Like I think you would absolutely hate this book. Don't ever read it.
I would, I
Like,
would. I mean, just by looking at the 5 languages, it's like I was scratching my head already. So, what the hell?
right, yeah. I mean, like this guy thought it was like so easy. It's like, well, if you do this, if you like quality time, and the other person likes, physical touch, like make sure that you give them physical touch, and then you make sure you give them quality time, and you guys will be happy, happy, happy. Like you'll have a marriage for forever. And I'm like,
I
huh?
mean, the
Like
thing is, there's certain time my wife say don't touch her, and there's certain
I
times like she can't keep her hands off me. So,
right,
well, that's the point. You have different kind of mental state, right? Emotional
right,
state. It's going to be when you need them. If somebody is pissed, right? don't be pissed because it's going to add fuel to the fire. It's
The
not going to help. You
it's
can't save a
platinum or wrong.
life. You can't save a
Right.
life just by saying, what you did is wrong. You're fucking stupid, right? Well, you're not going to save no life.
Agreed. I cannot believe this book is as popular as it is. I mean, it blows my mind. I mean, I think this book has sold like millions and millions and millions of copies. Like, I just like, I swear to God, if I ever dated somebody and they were like, "What's your love language?" I'd be like, "All right, I
All
think this
right.
is over."
Bye bye.
All right, all right, all right. Have a good
let,
one. Like,
let me let me save us some time. Okay.
right. Look, I like
It's
it's
nice
the same.
knowing you.
Is it any different than somebody coming up to you and going, "Look, I'm a Leo, so that means that like I'm gonna be, this, and this at all times, and if you can't deal with that, then you just can't be with me." And I would.
Say,
Oh
okay.
my gosh. Wait, okay, okay. Like
Okay.
this is like the book Attached. Have we done Attached yet? We did Attached, didn't we?
Not that I remember. I don't think so.
I thought we did Attached.
I,
That's the one that Jordan told us to read. Anyway, like
yeah.
it's like Attached, right? Like you're either secure or you're insecure. You're either and then there's two different types of insecurity ones, and they're like opposites attract to each other, right? Well,
Mm.
like even after reading that book, I'm just so sick and tired of these books to try to categorize everything. Like, I mean, like it is, you can't fucking categorize everything in life. Like, I mean, I honestly, whenever I was okay. This is now I'm like on a soapbox because I was on I have my team going through training right now through this outsourced firm. I'm not gonna name names or anything like that.
Mm.
They're going through like a kind of like a sales 101 boot camp, kind of thing. And I hopped on the first day, and for like the first like hour, half an hour, just to say hi, check in, like meet the trainers, like whatever it is, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, while my team's doing whatever they're doing. And we connect every day at the end of the day. Like they have like a team meeting at the end of the day, just to talk about the day, like what was our focus, like did you do your first things first? Like it's like a group accountability buddy kind of program
Right.
that we all get together and meet at the end of the day, right? So the first day, after the first day they did this training, I was like, "So what'd you guys learn today?" Because we always check in on like what we learned, And one of them was like, "Well, in this training, they said like, sales is like 70% character, 10% skill, and like 20% something else." And they were like, "Well, I don't know that I fully agree with that, but that was something that I learned today." And I was like, I honestly, I just paused. Like I was like, "Guys, like I don't know where the fuck this guy got these numbers at." Like, I mean, sales is straight up like like there could be something, I don't know, there's anything more abstract than like the art of the sale or the art of any, like, I mean, like literally there is no there's no path, and you can't go, if you just spend 70% of your time doing, like if you're this person and then 20% you're this. I'm like, what the. I literally told the team, I literally told my team, I was like, "Look, guys, like if anybody ever tells you they're an expert and they have like a breakdown, I was like, just run the fuck away." Because one of our team core values, obviously, because this is like Club Any Light, is humility. We don't know anything, right?
Right.
And I tell them that all the time. I'm like, they were like, "Is it?" Because they were asking me, "Is that right? Like, what do you think about those breakdowns of these percentages?" And I go, I don't know. Like, where the hell should you come from? So like, bottom line is, everybody, I feel like we're just so, humans are just so human sometimes, and we just want to categorize everything and lump it all into these nice, neat little 5 love languages. Like, this is all that you got. And you're either
I
one of
mean, the thing is, it's a coping mechanism. You think about a wicked environment in a what other environment?
kind.
Kind, right?
Yeah.
Life isn't a kind environment. So
Right.
we take the wicked environment, and we trying to maybe trying to
Make it
compress
kind.
it,
Yeah.
make it
Right.
kind, so that we can
Right.
predict them. Say, hey,
Right.
you're this guy, so I'm gonna use this technique on you, right?
Right.
Like playing chess, right? It has its fixed rules. The thing is, that's the thing is, we are coping with the uncertainty and the the anxiety. It's just killing us, so we have to
Right.
do that. And the less you understand, the less that the more you want to categorize it. You think
Agreed.
about it.
Agreed.
Anyone who is an expert and is categorizing things, they don't know shit, right? We don't
Agreed.
know shit, but they don't know shit.
Because in 100 years, fish won't exist anymore, right? You know, I mean, like it's why fish don't exist. You know, I mean, in 100 years, like you know, there won't be five love languages. This guy will feel like an asshole when he comes back to, you know, when he's hanging out up in you know heaven or whatever, and
He's
he's
not an asshole right now.
well, no,
I'm
he is.
surprised. I'm surprised.
Right, that's true. I mean, oh god, it just you know like it. No, I think my final thought on this one is like it is nobody's job to speak your language to you. Like it is nobody's job. It is your job to speak their language to them, but it is nobody's job to speak your language to you.
Go back, read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. That will
Right.
tell you how to speak.
Listen and just and hear their backgrounds and experience, and then platinum rule them. You know, like then do unto them the way that they would want to be treated.
So
And like,
so
oh
so
my god,
this is a book as how not
right,
how not to be, right? If you want a book of how to, go read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Do
yeah,
that.
yeah,
That book exactly tells you exactly how
to have a successful marriage.
have a successful marriage, have a wonderful group of friends, or
Right,
whatever. That book I recommend
right.
by Dale Carnegie. This book,
Don't.
don't read it.
Don't read it. But that's why we read these, right? Like we learned that there are idiots out there that you know man, everybody just wants to. You know, you go scroll through the how to sections in books or like the self help sections. Everything is always five this and start start
Because
your life
you think
step
about
and
it, the people who's looking for how to do this, how to do that, they don't know, right? And the
right.
people who already know, they don't want to read it.
Right. That's a great point. Well, then, man, you know what it is? There's a whole lot of fucking people in this world that don't know even less.
Yes,
Like, I mean,
yes,
like,
I
and they
agree.
go read this book. Like, I mean, can you please Google? Because my Google is, I mean, my internet is going so slow. How many books have been sold? The Five Love Languages book. Uh,
Languages.
because I think it's like 10 million books or something like that. It's like something asinine. Oh, here I got it now.
20 million copies sold.
20 million copies sold. Like that blows my mind. 20 million copies sold. Like 20 million people are going around talking about like, oh, your love
Oh,
language is
you
quality
like
time.
physical touch, right?
I get my love language is this. So make sure you talk to me like this. Like, you know, and I'm not gonna lie. All right. Anyway. All right, that's all I got for the
I think
day.
we had enough of
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I'm good.
They not the how not to book.
Yes. So the question you all could think for yourself, and I hope to God the answer is what we said, but like what would be the first thing you would do if you moved to a foreign country and didn't speak their language? Like
I mean,
it
it's
wouldn't be to ask them to speak your language. That's for damn
like,
sure.
hey, here's a Vietnamese dictionary. Talk to me. It's like fuck out of here, How can I'll deport your ass?
I mean, like, yeah, that's insane. All right. Anyway, all right. Any final thoughts from you?
Like, don't read this book.
Fair enough. I second that. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.